So this is obviously enormous news that Kevin Durant, the longer it took for him to get back on the basketball court, for him to get back to practicing. Now, he still hasn't been practicing, but he has been getting shots up. The more likely it became that KD was not going, we're going to run out of days between the amount of time it takes between practicing and being cleared to play for him to make an appearance in the NBA Finals. This news tells me they think he's going to be on the practice court on Monday after game number 2 on Sunday, and then start that process to be back for one of those games back in Oracle. For the Warriors, it changes entirely how they can defend the Toronto Raptors. I thought they were very successful and very smart. I know they were successful, and I thought it was very smart, their approach on Kawhi, and it held him to only 5 made field goals. But that approach was a trapping, send 2 guys at him. Kevin Durant in spots can guard Kawhi one-on-one, and not that he can shut him down, but he's so long, he can obstruct his shot, he can obstruct those passing lanes.
And you got the extra guy.
Of course. And on the other end of the court, it gives the Warriors what has been the reason they haven't lost a playoff series these last 3 years. They become something of an unguardable team because they can run this motion offense if they want, but if it stalls out, or if the other team is ready for it, as Toronto was, making rotation after rotation, they can just say, okay, safety valve, let's give it to one of the greatest scorers of all time, toss it to him, and because he's 7 feet tall, he can get a shot anywhere he wants. I do not believe the Warriors have to have Kevin Durant come back to win this series, but obviously it raises the likelihood that they win the series greatly.
When Kevin Durant first went down, from a medical standpoint, typically they say 4 to 6 weeks. If it's a major strain of your calf, it's 4 to 6 weeks. Minor strain of your calf is going to be 1 to 2 weeks. We're already past 3 weeks. Next week, if they decide to play him in game number 4, it will be in that 4-week window. Now, the calf won't be 100% healed, and there's a reason why he hadn't been on the court, because the inability for him to be able to lift, to be able to jump, and to be able to recover. So not only has he not been on the court, and my only thing a little bit different than yours is I think he gets on the court their next practice. He either gets on the court today or he gets on the court tomorrow. He doesn't get on the court after game number 2, because I just believe if they're already saying that he's predicting on a certain day, the week from today, he's going to be playing, he's got to get on the court right now. So I expect that. I don't expect Kevin Durant to be the Kevin Durant that was getting 34. So which Kevin Durant do we get as an offensive player? Which Kevin Durant do we get as a defensive player? And let's not forget the all-impending free agency. How much am I willing to risk my career to try to three-peat or risk myself getting another injury? You are right. The calf is connected to a lot of things, but more importantly, the Achilles injury. And that is the #1 injury for a basketball player that he is trying to avoid. He avoided it when he strained his calf, but you can't think that it's not in the back of his mind, hurting myself before free agency.
So does Kerr change up the way he uses Kevin Durant based on the fact that he most likely won't be 100%? Is it maybe less open shooting, maybe more on deep? I mean, do you change your approach with Kevin Durant?
What you change is the number of minutes he plays, and maybe the idea of him guarding Kawhi Leonard, as I think he would have primarily if he had never been hurt. Maybe you say, you know what, if he's only going to be able to play 20 to 25 minutes to start, let's save most of his energy for the offensive end. Let's keep doing what we're doing with Kawhi, which is the trapping. Or if between now and then they find another way to guard Kawhi Leonard. Asking Kevin Durant, they're not going to bring him off the bench. I know that. Listen, Kevin Durant's going to start every game of his NBA career moving forward unless he does play till year 20, like some people speculate he might. You don't do that. Even if he's going to play the minutes of a reserve,
he's going
to be a starter. You're not going to ever bring Kevin Durant off the bench. But what it means is Jonas Jerebko's not going to get 7 minutes, and Quinn Cook's not going to get 9 minutes, and Sean Livingston is going to play, but maybe not going to get 17 minutes. You're going to have guys that Jerebko will be out of the rotation, Quinn Cook's minutes will be halved, Sean Livingston's minutes will be cut down by 4 or 5, and you can have at least 2 of Steph, Clay, and KD on the court at all times instead of just 1 of Steph and Clay on the court at all times.
One thing I want to look at, too, is he is a strict jump shooter. And I want to see how his jump shot is affected by having a strained calf. We know he had been a month since he had been on the court, So now when he gets on the court is his jump shot. He's not a set shot shooter. He's not a guy you can just put in the corner. You get it, he can knock it down. Ray Allen or something. He lifts off the ground on every shot. It's a huge part of his game, even though he's got those skinny legs. What type of defender is he? What type of offensive player is he? So before I start saying, oh, this guy's not going to play, this guy's not going to play, we don't know what speed Kevin Durant's at. We are in the NBA Finals. The most intense basketball that you will ever see. Is Kevin Durant's body prepared for that? And I don't think, and I saw this in Giannis and I saw this in Ben Simmons, Kawhi at 6'7", even though they have the height advantage and weight advantage, Kawhi manhandled them. He knocked them up under the bucket on a regular basis. Now, Kevin Durant, with a bad leg, can he guard Kawhi and how strong Kawhi can be, especially in trying to attack the bucket?
If the Warriors, rather, end up down 0-2 going back to Oracle, what kind of significant changes is Steve Kerr going to have to make?
Well, so, let's just, for the games where KD's not playing is what you're talking about,
sure,
right? Because the biggest change will be KD coming back. If they go down 0-2, I got to see how that happens because I don't think they should change the way they guarded Kawhi. I think they are happy with how they guarded Kawhi. The Warriors lost last night for two primary reasons. One, Pascal Siakam had the game of his life, and credit to him. Third-year player, a guy they drafted with he and OG Anunoby, they drafted both of those players in mind. We're always going to have to go through LeBron. Let's get long defenders that can bother LeBron. LeBron's now gone, and Pascal has blossomed. He's going to win Most Improved Player in the league this year, I believe, and he's showing you that he can pop for big offensive nights. He had the best night of his career last night. Not the most points he's ever scored, but a top 5 scoring night of his career, and he did it on only 17 shots. And the other reason the Warriors lost that game is because they were not ready on either side of the ball for the intensity the Raptors were going to bring. They were not ready for the Raptors' half-court defensive intensity, and they were not ready for the Raptors to say, we are not afraid to get out and run when there are opportune times, even after makes. You saw the Warriors getting beat in transition. Steve Kerr mentioned it after the first quarter, and then the Warriors never got better at it. The Warriors were not in what I believe to be NBA Finals readiness, NBA Finals mentality. They seem to be suffering from something we had seen Cleveland suffer from over the last few years, which is you roll through your side of the bracket. The other team has a bit of a fight like the Warriors did in 16 against the Thunder and in 18 against the Rockets. They are ready to go, and you are easing yourself into it. This is the first time we've seen the Warriors fall victim to that.
I believe that Toronto is a tough matchup. I believe it's the toughest matchup. Outside of them trying to defend LeBron. But the way the team in Toronto and the way the team is put together, it's a tougher matchup for them. It's definitely the best defensive team. I believe they're going to lose game number 2, and I believe it's going to put more pressure on Kevin Durant to try to rush back, to be able to get into the lineup, to be able to help them get this series back to even. So, man, this is big-time news, and it's a lot of pressure on Kevin Durant. The impending free agency and how he was playing basketball before he got hurt. Can he play injured? There's a lot of guys that get injuries, but there's not a lot of guys that can play injured. Boogie Cousins, is it fair? Did he have the conditioning? He can't play injured at a high level. Everyone can't do this, and I'm not willing to appropriate it. I want to see Kevin Durant. I want to see him play in a pressure-packed final with a torn calf, and he's rushing himself to get back into the lineup.
And if this news is right, and Chris Haynes, by the way, does podcasts with Kevin Durant, clearly has a relationship with Kevin Durant. If anyone's going to report Kevin Durant news, I trust Chris Haynes above everybody else. And so if he's reporting it could be Game 3, it's likely going to be Game 4, you can pretty much write that in stone unless KD has some type of setback. You mentioned if they fall down 0-2. The only people that should be rooting for the Warriors to not fall down 0-2 as much as Warrior fans are New York Knicks fans who have been excited and ready and waiting for Kevin Durant this offseason. If the Warriors fall down 0-2 and then he comes back and saves the day, all of the free agency plans that we've been talking about all year long, that could be the seismic event that changes things. That could be the event that makes Kevin Durant have a moment and say, okay, are they going to say they don't need me now? You lost the finals without me. You won 2 with me. You were down 0-2 without me. I came back and we won the whole thing, if that's how this goes. So, obviously, Raptor fans, Warrior fans, the whole NBA world is going to be watching game number 2.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.